evening, everyone. Since it's 6:30, we will start to be respectful of everyone. 5:30, sorry. To be respectful of everyone's time. We are doing the study session to hear the presentation on the Home Rule Charter to see if that's something that we would be interested in. Given the timeline, we would have to make a decision so that it could be on the next ballot. It could be a ballot initiative on the next primary, which is this coming May. So we will get started. I'm not sure which of the two women who introduced themselves will be presenting, but you are welcome to start whenever you feel.
Hi, everyone. Terry Kunkel with the Department of Community and Economic Development, the Governor's Center for Local Government. And we do this presentation when people are exploring home rule. The presentation tonight is informational, and if you guys have any questions, I'll just take questions in the end. I have along with me Mary Amon. As you guys, we come up and introduce ourselves. I am the exiting Northwest Local Government Policy Commission. I have been 5.5 years. I have been working with the city of Erie, and my region is now getting changed, and Mary Amon will be your new local government policy specialist. But getting started with home rule, I left some handouts with you. The handouts, one is the PowerPoint. Two is a list of, and believe it or not, Wikipedia has the most up-to-date list on home rule communities. So you have a list of from Wikipedia with the list of home rule communities in the state, along with counties. And then also you have the Government Study Commission powers and duties handout there. Because, of course, we know home rule doesn't succeed without a Government Study Commission. So we're going to start and just go over the basics. This was working earlier. Let me just see. Might have to move or have somebody click for me. Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay. Home rule transfers the basic authority to...
Is your mic on? It is. It's just really quiet in here.
Do you need me to talk louder?
There you go.
Am I good now? I just...
Thank you.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. Home rule transfers the basic authority to act in municipal affairs from state law to a local charter, drafted, adopted, and amended by municipal voters. It's by the people, for the people, basically. I did bring along, when we talk about a home rule charter, what is a charter? We all know now that you guys follow the third class optional city code book. This is it. This is a charter. Okay? So you go from this to this primarily when you draft a charter. So when we talk about a charter, this is a charter. There are charters available online for any of you guys who want to take a look at it to review. City of Lancaster was the latest. They just had a favorable vote in November in favor of home rule. So and they're pretty good about putting everything on their website. But that is a charter. When we refer to a charter, I just like everyone to see third class city code optional, the code book, and then what a charter, what it reduces it to. Home rule municipalities may exercise powers and perform functions not denied by, of course, the U.S. Constitution, the PA Constitution, state laws, specific restrictions in Act 62, laws that are uniform and applicable in every part of the Commonwealth, and its home rule charter itself. It transfers the authority in municipal affairs from the municipal code to your own charter. And it's adopted and amended by the voters. Anytime you change the charter, it goes referendum. The voters have to decide, just like the voters have to decide if they are going to choose to take that path. And it is decided upon, approved, and amended by the voters. Just like I said, everything goes on as a referendum. The voters choose. It is an opportunity to shift, of course, the governance to you, the people. And it allows flexibility in defining the structure, powers, taxation, and all the other functions of the municipality. It's an opportunity to create a government that best meets your needs. We're all different. We're different in the Northwest than we are in the Northeast. We're different than the Southeast. You know, there are different things that meet our needs differently, and that's where a charter sometimes can be helpful. Reasons for home rule. I'm going to read them over. It's just pretty self-explanatory. It identifies accountability. You can identify accountability within your structure. It focuses on political leadership, professional administration, enhances the fiscal procedures and controls based on your needs, your demographics, its flexibility. It separates legislative and executive functions, and residual powers. You write your own administrative code. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later because people get Home Rule Charter and administrative code sometimes. They go together, but they're two separate documents. And you increase citizen participation because, let's face it, this isn't going to go anywhere unless it's voted on by the people. So, and you're not going to change it unless it's voted on by the people. It increases responsiveness and, of course, a wider representation because, once again, by the people, for the people. Here's your limitations. I am not going to read over all of these. You guys have this handout. I will tell you that one of the things I get a lot with Home Rule Charter is it's going to affect our hunting. Is it going to affect our firearms? No. Just like I said in the beginning, nothing in the U.S. Constitution, the PA Constitution, it's not going to change the Sunshine Law, the Open Records Law, anything like that. You see that pretty extensive list that a charter cannot touch, that you still have to follow those legislative laws. Zoning is one of the municipal planning code. That's another one we get a whole lot of questions on. No, you still have to follow the MPC. Ethics, stormwater, everything like that. So everything you see there, the Home Rule cannot define or try to overrule any of these legislative codes. You consider Home Rule basically for your form of government, for taxation. You know, as we all know, there's a cap on millage, and Home Rule removes the cap. Operation and procedure, you know, how you conduct your meetings, how you conduct your public hearings, you know, how do you adopt an ordinance, how do you maintain your records. That is all, that's all defined by the charter. Other than records and retention, that is another one that's not touched. And your legislative actions, your form of action by the governing bodies, publication and effective dates, and ordinance codification. So those are considerations in why you want to enter into Home Rule. You can see on this Home Rule municipalities, you know, it started to be tossed around in the PA Constitution in 1968, was fully adopted in 1972. And since 1972, 80 municipalities, and we have 7 counties in Home Rule, out of our 2,559 municipalities. And there's a list of your counties, but I did give you the Wikipedia list with the municipalities. I'm just going to go over this because, like I said, you have this when we talk about the structures of government. Home Rule, the Government Study Commission, when they draft the charter, if and when they draft the charter, chooses the structure of your government. You can see here where the mayor is elected independently as a member of council, the mayor presides as a president of council, the council appoints a manager, solicitor, engineer, council appoints the boards and commissions, and the manager hires the directors and employees, and you can see the chart there. Likewise, there's another chart with structures continued. These charts are from Home Rule communities that exist now and their forms of government. There's many forms of government out there. That's what a Government Study Commission does in its first 9 months, and we'll go over those duties here too, and with how it all starts. Another sample, voters elect council, 7 or 9 members, and then that just goes on to, you know, the council members oversee the manager, solicitor, engineer, and then the manager oversees the different departments. Taxation, it's the ability to adopt a new taxation system. I think one of the biggest questions I always get is, oh, can we no, you can't create a tax. The tax already has to be established. That is just something you follow. But it's, the taxation system is when it's a little bit different is there, like I said, the caps are removed. EIT is another one that you 0.5%. That is something that is state mandated unless you're a home rule community. And that's the earned income tax, the 1% local. It's based on the municipality's needs. You know, like I said, here I'm going to say it again. We're all different. You know, everybody thinks government is cookie cutter everywhere. It's not. Out of those 2,559 municipalities, I've had the privilege of serving about 500 in the Northwest, and every one of them is different, and everyone has different needs. Provides for a level of quality of service, you know, quality of life services that can be developed through home rule. It offers relief for the aging population, and that is with the earned income tax, with the taxation structure now. The only way that you guys can raise taxes is on real estate property, but with home rule, you have the ability to raise the earned income tax, which the 65 and older and the retired community benefit from over the, you know, because you're not constantly hitting the home tax, the real estate tax. Current taxation limits, and you guys are nowhere near third-class cities at 30 mills. Boroughs are at 30 mills. First-class townships are at 30 mills, and second-class townships are at 14 mills. So, you know, that's the limits on taxes at current, you know, legislatively right now, if you're not home rule. The home rule process. I think that's basically, I think probably most of you up here kind of explored home rule. That's one thing I do want to address, is that DCED has a great publication. It is the Home Rule of Pennsylvania publication. It's on our website. Just do a search for DCED, and it's the Home Rule publication. It's available online. You can download it, and you can print it out. This is a very easy to read manual of everything of how you proceed with home rule, what the benefits of it are. It's just a good, I have to say that this is one of the first publications I read from when I became an employee, and it was like, wow, that's really interesting. It is very, you don't have to be a Philadelphia attorney to be able to read this. And it does recite the law wherever the law is, wherever it states the law. So I just wanted to make note of that. Forming a government study commission. The referendum is placed on the ballot by an ordinance of the governing body, or 5% of the electors in the last gubernatorial election. Now, the electors can do this themselves if they would ever choose. I have had it done once in the Northwest, where it was done with an elector petition and went on the ballot. But you guys are talking ordinance. So you guys have me here tonight to explore doing an ordinance by the governing body and putting it on as a referendum. Now, when you put that question on the ballot, you also have to, the constituents also have to elect a government study commission. So it's very, very important that when you know that you're going to put this ordinance on, that you're out there talking to people that would be good, that would serve well as a government study, on the government study commission or a commissioner. You can choose 7, 9, or 11. Typically, you guys have a 7-member council. Typically, that's what you do. 7, you know, however many elected officials you have. I can say that I've always served with the Home Rule Study Commissions, the government study commissions for Home Rule, and typically I will tell you that they drop off. Government Study Commission members, it is a huge it's a huge requirement from them. Typically they meet twice a month for almost 18 months. And it's a really, really important job. It really is. So you're going to want to try to inquire and find people that love government, that really want to learn about their local government, because the first part of a government study commission is they look at the government here. They look at the government here, they look and see, like, how does it operate? What's working? What might not be working? You know, that's the first part of the government study commission, if and when they're elected. But this is important because I had a city that put it on the ballot, Just put it on, and like I said, sometimes you might want to take time when you put this on the ballot, because you want to know that you have these elected officials that are these people that are interested. One, they have to circulate a petition that's either 2% in the last gubernatorial election or 200, whichever is less. And the elections office will tell them when they get the petition. Just like when you guys got the petition and circulated to get on the ballot, they have to do the same thing. This is a nonpartisan position. They're not running as an R or a D or an independent. They are running nonpartisan. Okay? So they get on the ballot, they have to circulate the petition. It fails if you don't have enough people on that ballot. I had a city that they put it on and they did it, and it was just boom, here we go. There wasn't enough people, it failed. What happens if it fails? Even if the question passes and there are not the number of people that you have in your ordinance, it fails. Because you have to have if you say 7, 9, or 11, there has to be that many candidates on the ballot, and the question has to pass and they have to vote. If it fails, you cannot place this back on the ballot for 5 years. It's done. Referendum can't go back on for 5 years. So you have to know that you have those people, and that's why I gave you a handout of their duties and powers and what they're going to do through this next 18 months. It's important. I'm a government freak. Of course, my position, like I love to read it. I love to know about it. Those are the kind of people that you want that are interested in government. You want them to be non-biased. You want them to come in and form their own opinion. This is for the public as well that's out there, that this is important. The job they're going to do is really, really, really important. So that's what the Government Study Commission.
May I ask you a question?
I was going to go ahead.
Oh, all right. So
No, go
we
ahead.
can do it at the end.
No, go ahead. It's good. I'm a relaxed
So you have two
presenter.
different things that you have here that are things that we need to consider. One is that you also point out that people drop off of these things.
That I was going to address that.
Okay.
Alternates.
Okay.
Typically, if this is done correctly and you guys really make this you're really putting it out there, you bring it up at your meetings, you say we're going to do this, and I know that you're in it right now. It's a big rush to get this on for this election coming up, because you're down to where probably the middle of February you have to have it to the elections office. That's really not giving you a whole lot of time, to really promote it publicly, to get the people to run. I mean, you could do this and do it in the November election as well, where then you could bring it up at your meetings, you could discuss it, you could talk about it. That's totally up to you guys. So that's what you guys have to decide. Are we going to put the ordinance on, and when are we going to do this? Are we going to educate the public first before we do this, or are we just going to put it on there? When you educate the public, then you do maybe get that interest to run on those commissions. Are we going to do 7, 9, or 11? That's another choice that you have. I'm not sure what, I don't know. I think that you guys, he had originally said that you guys were talking about 9. Now, what I've done in the past with my home rule study commissions and what I just did at Mill Creek. Now, Mill Creek wasn't home rule. Mill Creek was optional plan. They had 10 people in the ballot, I think, for 7 positions. And same way in Newcastle. What I encourage is that when we form, and I'm going to go over how that all forms, but when that's done, those alternates, they wanted on, they got a petition. Of course they didn't get the votes, but they had the interest. So they are good to serve as alternates because they had the interest. And those are things that if this does pass, that you can discuss, you can talk about, moving forward. So let's just say you put it on the ballot, it passed, and you got your study commission members, you had enough on the ballot, and by law, they have 10 days to get certified from the certification of the election. From the certification, they have 10 days to get sworn in, and then they have 15 days to meet for their first meeting. And then that's when it starts. Now, Government Study Commission also has to present a budget to the municipality. I know Lancaster's budget was around $200,000 because Normally, the municipality provides them with a professional consultant that can help guide them through the process. Experienced people, because you are writing a new charter forever. You want experience, you want guidance, you want somebody on there. Typically, the most successful home rule charters are, they engage with a consultant that has experience in guiding this commission and doing that. That's totally up to you again. I'm just throwing it out there. You wanted information tonight. I'm just giving you the information. So we've already gone over that if it does, it fails whether or not you have the amount of people. I did have a city. It was really, really sad. They put it on, not enough people ran, and it is dead in the water for 5 years. Now, let me just move on here. We already went over 10 days of certification, 15 to take oath, 15 days to organize. Now, here's the process. Within the first 9 months, it's just, it can take up to 9 months, but it doesn't have to be 9 months. A lot of them make a decision faster than the 9 months. It depends on how often they meet, how many different municipalities they're interviewing, how many home rule. Along with that, they want to also interview third-class optional cities out there. That how are they working too compared to how your city's working? They do what they're called. They study. Okay, so then if they say like in 7 months, they have up to 9, but say they say in 7 months, we're good. We want to move on. We want to draft a charter. We want to put it back out there to our people to vote for a home rule charter. We want to draft it. So if they don't want to do that, they send a letter to council and say, we have decided that our government works and this is done. They send a report. There's items in the report. You can read it in the home rule that they have to have in there. If home rule is recommended, then they have another 9 months to draft that charter. So in 9 months' time, this elected group of people, that's why you want them to work with a professional consultant who does this, who is experienced in this. And you do that, and they start and they draft the charter. Then it goes back to, comes back to the elected officials. It's reviewed. It's reviewed by solicitors. And then it goes back on the ballot. But within those 9 months, once they choose to do that, the biggest part of it is public education. The Government Study Commission, I've had a municipality that the Government Study Commission in a third-class city went around and hung door tags. I mean, this is the kind of people that you want on the Government Study Commission. They hung door tags. They placed signs in people's yard. Promotion is a big part of it. If you look at Lancaster's, I think their budget for promotion was $30,000 just for promotion. I mean, their job's not done. If they have city council buy-in from you, a lot of times then, you guys are out there promoting, or if that's something that you favor. It's like I said, every municipality is different. So with that being said, that's basically the rule. That it goes back on the ballot, the voters vote. If it is approved, you're moving on. If it's approved, there's a transition portion in the charter that's written on how you transition into this new charter. It could be that the new commission might decide or put on the ballot that you go to 10 elected officials or 9 or take it down to 7. That's going to be totally up to whatever they draft, because here we go again. The first 9 months, people just think, but it's critical because it's called studying. I mean, we all know, and Mary was the one who initially started this. It takes 5 years to learn local government, really. You probably all can appreciate that sitting up there. The first year you're going, I'm doing this, and for what? The second year you're going, I think I remember we did it last year. The third year you know enough to be dangerous. The fourth year you think, I finally got this. And the fifth year, the government changes the way we do everything and we start all over, right? It's a constant learning process. But the key word here is study. And that's what a Government Study Commission does. So the municipality shall be governed under the provisions of the plan from the first Monday in January following the municipal election occurring the next succeeding primary election. So that reads just like how it says. So like that first January after the primary is when it would start. But like I said, your charter, when you read these charters, you're always going to see there's a transitional plan in there. It's all laid out. That's done as part of the charter. Then the administrative code gets written. So let me explain to you the difference between a charter and an administrative code. A charter says they're the laws, basically, of how you're going to govern, okay? The admin code says things like, I'll give you an example. The charter's going to say how you adopt an ordinance. The administrative code is going to tell you the criteria for the city manager, maybe, if you choose a city manager, or what the mayor's going to do, or it's going to say if there's a residency clause, because the administrative code is an ordinance that can be changed by an ordinance. The charter can only be changed by referendum. I had a city where, because they had a residency clause, we searched for a manager for 5 years. And it finally went in the ballot and it passed to be able to take the residency clause out because they suffered over those years with interim managers to get somebody to not have a residency clause. Those are the things that a professional consultant will guide the Government Study Commission through. You've got to remember, charter change is referendum, the admin code. Admin code is just that, administration. How does it work? How does the administration of all of this work? So then the administration code gets drafted and adopted by ordinance, and then all the ordinances have to be codified. So basically, here's all your sources. These are good places to find. I tried to give you good sources to figure everything out. Do yourself a favor, look at the home rule. It's good reading material, right? Copy that and make yourself familiar with it and how it works. And here are some other groups that can help you with it if you have questions. And then if you have any questions for me, I hope I kind of covered home. I hope I covered this in 20 minutes, and gave you a good overlay. Do you guys feel now more that you understand home rule a little bit better?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Are we reinventing the entire city, or can we go to home
Home rule charter.
rule charter with the intent of changing taxation or something like that?
Yeah, you don't, they can, it's all up to the Government Study Commission. The Government Study Commission can do all their homework and say, this is really working the way that it is, but we still want to go through with home rule and make a couple little changes to the charter, like how we draft an ordinance that's depicted in the third-class city code, or, how you, just things like that. But the structure can remain the same, and that's up to the Government Study Commission, because and here we go again, that common word, study, they have to do their due diligence.
And then up to the voters, again.
And then up to the voters. Absolutely. That's the beauty of home rule. It's all about the voters. It still has to be voted upon.
So I have a book at home that's like this. Does that mean all those ordinances in there are no longer?
No, it does not. The ordinances that you have, you have to have them codified within 2 years, meaning that they all get codified into a book and you go from there. But no, your ordinances all remain the same. It is just structure, basically structure and taxation, and how you adopt an ordinance maybe. Instead of having 2 readings, you might say, oh, we're just going to do 1 reading. How you conduct your public hearings. That's what's going to be in a charter versus how it's laid out in here. But no, your ordinances are all going to remain the same. MPC, your zoning, all of that remains the same.
I guess my concern is if we don't have enough people who are able to run in time for it.
I have to admit, I'm a little concerned with the time frame.
Yeah, just because right now, depending on...
And that's up to you guys as a whole.
We can
as the
amend it to
council as a
7
whole.
tomorrow. I mean, it's that easy.
No, it's too fast. I am
Why
not
jam it
voting
down?
on it. I'm just going to let you know. I like her presentation, but she has convinced me that we need to do this properly. And when we don't, we screw things up, and that's what happens. You can't rush this.
Well, one thing I want to tell you is you still have to remember this still has to go August. This is January. It's 7 months. And I'm not trying to convince you one way or another. I'm just saying to you that the most successful ones are about public education and talking to people and getting the interest out there for people to circulate the petitions
Right.
and be good study commission members. These people are going to determine your future. Well, the people are going to vote on it, but they're going to vote for what they're going to draft what the people are going to vote on. I can't, and I'm not here to sway you one way or another. You still have time. You could do it. But, the other thing is that make sure you have those people.
Right, because right now we have to decide on how many people will be on this GSC, and then those people would have to then circulate to at large throughout the whole city, nonpartisan, anybody. And then right now with how things go with our current city run of elections, you have to distinguish if you're a Democrat or a Republican.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of education and learning curves.
It is a lot of education. It is a lot of education. It's a lot of education for the whole process. Just like I just gave you that watered down version of that handbook that was, this thick. But it is it's transparency. I mean, that's a word that gets thrown around so much in government, but it's true. It's transparency, and making the public aware. But most of the times, the public outreach, those are where they're pretty. But you have to have that good study commission that's really has an interest in your municipality.
And that study commission is, for the next 2 years, they would be educating people leading into the next campaign, leading into the final vote on this 2 years from now.
They would be. Typically, their first months, like I said, they're all about that studying. It's in the second 9 months. That's when they have to draft the charter, do the public education, and get it back on the ballot.
So I guess, what do we have to educate people on now, then? It sounds like a lot of that would be the study commission over the next 2 years.
You educate the people that are going to run, that you're going to give them the opportunity, because the worst thing that you could do is come back and somebody in June say, I didn't know anything about this,
Right.
I mean, because it's going to be you that have to answer that then. And I'm just putting it out there. Lancaster did. I mean, they really got it on and they moved fast. But a lot of their elected officials did a lot of the legwork, really, out there trying to get it promoted.
What was their need? Why were they so intent on changing what they have? They were in trouble? Or what?
It's like it said, you're studying the form of government, you're changing the form of government. Some people, the elected positions sometimes get changed. Sometimes we don't know your needs. Sometimes it's just a matter of, will you help us with home rule and
So we'll basically find out our needs from the 7 or 9 people that.
You will, yeah. Well, how it works, the study of it and how it works. I always call local government, it's a 20-headed dragon, and it's very, like I said, 5 years to learn it. Nobody knows what everybody in the administrative part goes through every day when you're in here. I sat in the seat for 15 years. It's a lot of work, and I commend everybody. I have councils where I have vacancies. Thank you for serving. So anyone in government, whether you're elected or appointed officials, kudos. Thank you for your service, really. But I gave you the facts. I gave you certain situations. You guys now just have to choose. I know you. I don't know. Is the ordinance drafted? Or?
It's drafted.
Yeah, and you just have to know, are there 7 or 9 or 11 people out there that would, have this interest that are going to, serve? And that's a good handout that I gave you if you want to start talking to people. Say, serve on the commission. Like I said, there are government nerds out there. I'm one of them. I'll admit. I am. I thrive on it,
I just know that we just finalized our budget, and I know we don't have $200,000.
That's
for a
another issue
consultant.
is the budget money. The budget money. If you did wait, it would be budgeted for next year. Like Mill
can
Creek,
spread
they
out
saw
the
it.
2 years.
They saw it coming, and Mill Creek put aside a budget for the commission. That is totally up to you guys. Like I said, I'm just here. If you guys have any other questions other than when you should put it on the ballot, or
Does the Have you ever had a consultant during the process tell the city, like, it's probably not a good idea for you guys to do
No,
this?
the paid professional consultants stay pretty biased.
So they won't give their opinion on it?
They're there to guide. They're there for information. They're there to guide. They give them an outlay of, like, you know, what you're supposed to look for, what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to study. Here's the outcomes. And the Home Rule Study Commissions also too have, just so you know, there's committees too. You have you find other residents along the way that want to serve on committees that might want to be like part of a public outreach committee. They don't do it alone. They can reach out and form committees. You will see it's depicted. One of the big ones is the budget committee.
You know, that might be because the consultants realize that nobody should stay third-class city. Have you had any home rule cities go back to third-class city?
I think there's 2 that have since 1972.
Out of the 80?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody should stay third-class city if you have the ability to be home rule.
That's an opinion.
Oh, that's a fact, Kathy. You can read the book. You'll figure it out
Just-
quick.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I do. Could you go over again the time frame if we were to do this? Like, we have so many people who are new Americans, different languages, different types of communication. That's a concern about how they would find out this information. How do we reach out to the public, for the whole public that vote, not just like, because this is a big thing. And just go over that time frame again. How you did say we thought we were rushing this a little bit, didn't you? Or
Well, typically it's a short amount of time to get an ordinance drafted and get it on when you start in Jan. That's my only thing. You know, you guys can rush it and do it. It's totally up to you guys of where you do it. But I said the concern is that do you get enough people to run, just like she said, for the Government Study Commission? Because you as a council have to start talking about it and telling people that we're looking into this, we're going to put it on the ballot at certain time, we're looking for people who would want to, that's why I gave you that handout, we're looking for people that are going to run on the Government Study Commission. You know, we all know people who are government nerds out there that you could talk to, you know, and then they have to circulate that petition. If you did wait until August, and I'm not saying to do that or not to do that, I'm just saying if you did do that, that would give you these next 6 or 7 months to talk to people, make sure that you have that many candidates that would get on the ballot, and then you know, and then move forward there. And then once they get on the ballot and they get voted, then after if it would be, whether it be in May or whether it be in November, and it's a positive vote, then they have 10 days from the certification of election then to take an oath, and 15 days to meet, to have their first organization, and then they kick it off and they get moving. So yeah, that's, and like I said, and you have to consider, because you have to do a budget, it is part of the Home Rule Study Commission, they have to present a budget to the municipality.
Can I
Madam
ask-
Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Chair? I can only speak for myself. I need to learn more about it before I can go out and tell people about it. And before I can tell them about it and recruit, it is very important that I understand what I'm talking about. Now, I know Councilman Titus and Councilman Nelson, they are on top of this. There's no question about it. And I've met with Councilman Titus, and he gave me some information, very good information. But there's more I need to learn about it before I can go out and recruit and say something to an individual. He said, well, what it's about. I have to be able to rattle this off, or some of it, and give them something to read if, in fact, they are interested. The other concern I had, this process that we would go through if it's passed, is how do we get somewhat of an equal representation of our city? That's important.
That's something that the Home Rule Charter can do? Change the representation structure of the city to get better equal
Is
representation?
he talking the Government Study Commission, though? The representation on the Government Study Commission, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking
How
about.
much in-service would those people get? You know, I can throw you a couple names that are here that would be very good at it. But how much information are we going to give them about what we have now? And what we're looking to try to.
Well, a Government Study Commission.
They have to be the ones smart enough to find out what's wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're going to go digging.
Absolutely. Study is the key word. Study. I just bought myself this little plaque that said that somehow my life is resembling a test that I didn't study for.
I like that.
Mel, mind if I say something else? If there's anyone you think, like right now, if you're thinking who's the most policy-minded people you personally know, if you don't believe that you can explain this to them in order to get them to run, I'll volunteer Tyler as well, since you've already spoken to them, will happily sit with that person and you and further explain these details after the time spent studying it. I'm happy to help you recruit the people that you trust to be on this.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I
Yes,
just
sir.
think that the timeline that we're pushing for is not realistic, and we're going to fail, and then we're going to be stuck for 5 years because we have not done enough homework prior to this conversation of getting the word out. Along with, I know Councilmember Nelson has been bringing it up for the last 2 or 3 years, but just because he's been bringing it up doesn't mean everybody else on council has been bringing it up as well. I fear that we're not going to have the people. That's just my biggest fear, but I'm not sure, depending on how we explain things, how people will decide to run.
That's a good point. Fear is I think fear is all the way here except over there, because he's done a complete study. You haven't done a real good job of explaining it to us. What do you want to fix with the study commission, I guess, or what do you want to fix in city government? I want to get those people over 55 tax breaks.
Specifically,
They can't do it
the
here.
one thing, and I've pointed this out every time we do the budget, when we're looking at the budget and we do comparable revenues to every city, every city on that we compare ourselves with is either Act 205, she brought up the income tax cap that the state has on us. There's 3 ways to get around that. Act 205, Act 47, Home Rule Charter. And when you look at the comparable cities to us in the state, everyone is one of those 3 except for Bethlehem. They're all either Home Rule Charter already, Act 205 like us, and Act 47. And I think we're, not to be an alarmist, but I think we're pretty darn close to Act 47 once we get through this ARP funds. This is the way that we can maintain the services that everybody wants. And frankly, as far as the timeline, the urgency of it goes, there's a specific reason, I think, when you look at our long-term budget as to why we need to get this done in the next 2 years. When ARP money runs out, there is a sense of urgency that I don't think anyone that's still in office 2 years from now wants hanging on their heads.
I think of this as our stormwater sewer situation. When we had studied it for a couple of years, and it was in the newspaper, and it was on the news, and we were talking about it. And yet, when I worked at that front desk, people were coming in as if they have never heard of it before. And I saw firsthand, and I had to explain to them and call other people down to explain to them. And we had people out the door in line trying to say, we've never heard of this before. Public education is so important. So this is going to go on the ballot in April. Is that when we vote?
Oh, in May.
May.
We vote in May.
But the whole study wouldn't go on. What goes on in May would be we are going to do a commission, and then we essentially have 2 years from that point to learn about it. So we don't need to educate the entire public between now and May on what this is. We need from now till May to have those, really from that petition cycle, to get the individuals to run for it. Here's, I guess, where I'm worried is we will never get the entire we won't. If we waited until everybody in Erie understood what a home rule charter was, this would never go on. Just like anything wouldn't. But I understand, and I'm trying to really be balance here. with the discussions that I've had, I could probably name 15 people who are ready to circulate petitions right now, who've been studying for the past several years, and who are policy, just people by nature. And they are chomping at the bit to like, we want to do this, we're excited, we've been studying this, we've been studying other governments. But that's also the, like,
It's the Jefferson.
right. And so that's kind of, it's what I also do in my spare time. Those are my hobbies, as those tend to be the people that I'm talking the most to. So it's, I know I have a different base. But I guess for me is I don't want us to, we're not cramming the entire public education piece in between now and getting this on the ballot in May. That's when it really starts the clock of when we have the commission. That's really when that's when that part amps up. So we don't have to have all the questions answered yet, but we do need to make sure that we have good policy people who are equipped to get on the ballot so that we don't fail and kill this initiative before it happens.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
How can we be assured that we have the money for the consultant and for the program? We don't have, I mean, if you take a 25 million sitting in ARP now, I'm sure you could find a little bit. But
Where are these people? Why aren't they running for city council?
I think
and
they
things
are.
like that?
I think they have. Some of them.
No, some of them aren't running because they just like policy. There's plenty of people that don't like, I mean, think about the stuff you like doing on city council, and I say that to the general group of 7 of us. How many of us really like doing policy? How many of us really like doing budget? How many of us really like doing constituent services? Like, everybody's got the areas they favor, and there's some policy people out there that don't want to do constituent services, that don't want to deal with budgets, and don't want to do with the public thing. They don't want to go do an interview with Tyler after this. I'm doing it.
I'm just, does anyone have any other questions for me?
no, you
I mean, you guys are getting
I
into your
do have a
discussion now,
question
and
for
I'm
you.
just going to say, like, I'm not part of your discussion. I just gave you all the, all the information,
nice
and
job.
I was just wondering if anybody, and I gave you the information too that you can hand to a government study commission, propose, and when they do their homework, they can do it online, just like every, the home rule publication, that government study commission that I handed you out, and talk to different people that are home rule. But I'm sorry, what was your other question?
So thank you very much for the presentation. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
So I'm just trying to put all these pieces together. So let's say we have 7 people. Those 7 people have to be on the ballot in the primary.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to collect their signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was running for council, I did that in February.
Right.
So then it goes on the ballot.
Right, that's when it'll
So today is what day? January 7th?
7.
Okay.
Petitions drop February 18th.
So people pick up their petitions.
So you got 2 months. You'd have 2 months to get to make a decision.
But I'm saying from now to let the people know that are in their homes, being nerds or whatever.
He must be a government nerd because he said he's talking to people about policy all the time. So,
It just seems like it's too fast for me.
but yeah, that would be your time frame.
Now, if
Yeah.
we get 7 people on the ballot, even if they get 2 votes, they win, right?
Yeah, they're going to get
There's no
10,000
loser.
votes.
They just have to be
You would,
identified.
ideally, you would like to get more than what you're petitioning for,
Yeah.
because then you have your alternate pool as well.
And Republicans and Democrats, they both be on the ballot.
Yeah, it's
Republicans are on
nonpartisan.
the Democrat ballot.
Yeah,
You don't
it's-
have any identifier.
When
there.
you get the petition signed, you can have Republicans and Democrats.
Right, okay.
Do you have to be a city resident?
Yes.
Yes.
Any age difference?
Well, you have to be able to vote.
18.
You have to be a registered voter and live
But it
within the
also can
city.
be done in November, you said.
Oh, it can be done anytime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they stated that it would start in August, right? Isn't that
Yeah,
what
well,
you
you would have to have the ordinance to the county elections. It's usually around the first week of August, depending on when that date is. You count back
Before
13
November.
Tuesdays. And that's when it drop dead is. You have to have it at the county elections office. Yeah, that's your drop dead time. So does anybody have any other questions? for
anyone
me?
else
You
have
guys
any
can talk
questions?
about everything that you want to hash out. I gave you all the if, ands, buts, and everything that hopefully you'll go do your homework and you'll all print out a copy tonight and you'll read it instead of reading your novel. If you're a government nerd. Well, it was really nice talking to you and to be able to present with you guys here tonight. We are available if you have any questions. you feel free to reach out to Mary or myself. If in fact this does get, DCED usually typically comes in and helps work with that government study commission to keep them on a track until you can get a consultant, just like we've done at Mill Creek. You know, we come in, we help get organized, we help give them a template until you can get an RFP out and get a consultant in.
I do have one more question before I let you go. We have these 7 people that study for 18 months, and they bring something back to us that we think already went through the horse. Do we tell them thank you and forget it, or are we in debt to take what they've studied? That's my question.
You take what they give you, and then
Vote
the
it down.
people, yeah.
Oh,
You-
no, she's saying
She's
one
saying
thing
take
different
it,
from
you're
what you're
saying
saying.
At the end of the day, if the commission comes back with something that we don't like, we can campaign to have it voted down, right?
Oh, you can campaign, it's the people, it still goes to vote to the people. You can't vote it down as a council, but it goes to vote to the people,
again.
whether you like it or not. Yeah, it goes to the people.
It's my-
Just a question more for our grant godmother. Is there any way that we can possibly find grant money for this consultant?
Gary and I talked about this earlier this afternoon.
Okay.
It's a shame it wasn't in
Yeah,
PF.
there is an opportunity for us to apply. If we wait.
If you wait,
You wait.
Not for February, March, but if we wait.
yeah.
So wait till the August, okay. I mean, it's a little bit more time, but I like the idea of grant money to help alleviate the financial burden. I'm not quite sure how other council members feel. I do recommend that everyone read what was given to us. I read the ordinance before I went into the handbook, so once I started reading the handbook, a lot of
It made sense.
a lot of it was
Yeah.
very redundant, so I kind of like skimmed through the booklet, but I'll make sure I read that 105 pages for sure.
Oh, it goes fast.
And I wanted to thank you for coming and presenting to council. I'm not quite sure if anyone else on council has any additional questions, but
If you do, my contact information, you have it.
Okay.
Feel free to reach out, and it was a pleasure coming and talking with you and meeting each and every one of you, and DCD is here to help. You know, like I said, if it does become a favorable vote, we work a lot with the government study commissions when they're formed to help guide them, steer them, and get them started till you can get a professional consultant in. You know, because in the beginning, it's just laying out who they're going to talk to, getting the budget going, getting a consultant on board, you know, and hit the ground running with the, here we go, keyword, what is it? Study. Remember my life. My life is that test I didn't study for. There was no publication. Oh, Mary has 30 minutes now? I'm going to grab my flash drive up here, and Mary and I are going to hit the road. I'm
Alrighty.
dropping Mary off in Mercer County, and then I
Alrighty.
drive to Clearfield County.
safe travels. Yes, you ladies definitely can go. Be safe. We won't need any more of your time
Okay.
because I want to make sure you guys
What's
get
that?
home.
Oh yeah, I'm heading home tonight. Yeah, I do
Yes,
an
drive
average
safe.
of about 2,000 miles a month.
Oh wow.
It's a Northwest is a huge territory. Interstate 80 and 79 is my corridor.
Alrighty. Well, safe travels. Thank you for coming and visiting. I don't know if anyone else on council wanted to say anything before we all go home with our thoughts before tomorrow's meeting. For the good of the order, does anybody?
If there's, I mean, it's only first reading tomorrow.
Yeah. So think on it. Read.
Yeah.
See how
There
we're
is some
feeling about
urgency,
these unknowns.
and there's some very particular reasons why to get it done in this primary, as far as what our budget looks like in the next couple years, so that this will be on the books by January the fall, 2 years from now. There's some very specific reasons why this is necessary now. So I could talk to you about those, it doesn't need to be
Alrighty.
a big meeting.
Well, for the good of the order, we will wrap today's study session off. Thank you everyone for attending.